Our next guest is one of the critics. He's radio talk show host John Ziegler, and he is helping to organize tomorrow's protest and is also a spokesman for FireDavidLetterman.com. You can pretty much figure out their goal. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Megan.
All right, so thanks so much for being here. Now, let me ask you this first. So you're organizing this protest, and you got your website going. Do you really expect David Letterman to get fired?
Honestly, no, I don't, because I think it's pretty clear, Megan, that the rules for one side of the political equation are very different than rules for the other side. I personally think, though, that there needs to be some accountability for what happened here, because by any measure, what David Letterman did was over the line of what is publicly accepted speech. I'm a free speech advocate. I wrote a book called The Death of Free Speech. I'm a radio talk show host. The government should not be punishing speech, but by any standard, what David Letterman did was wrong. He has not been held accountable. His apology was an absolute joke, and the attacks on the Palin family have got to stop at some point, and this is a place to draw that line in the sand.
Now, I was looking at some of these left-wing blogs today, and some left-wing publications like The Village Voice, and they came out, John, and they said, The Village Voice in particular, called these concerns raised by you and others in defense of not just Sarah Palin, but her daughters, whether it's Willow or Bristol, either one. Most people agree. Don't be joking about sexual assault or, you know, rape or whatever you want to call it of a young girl. They call your concerns, and I quote, absurdly overblown, and say this is about the right seeing an opportunity to play PC police.
It's interesting when the other side has happening to it in a very mild and I think rational way what people on my side see every single day with regard to the speech police. Look, the best analogy to this circumstance is what happened with Don Imus 2 years ago. In that circumstance, I believe that by any measure, what Don Imus did in an offhanded joke, while horrible and maybe fireable, was nowhere near as bad as what David Letterman did, not once, but over several days in a scripted situation where the apology was beyond bogus and self-serving. In that situation, now the National Organization for Women demanded his firing. In this circumstance, they have been largely, if not totally, silent. The political hypocrisy is thick enough to cut with a knife. We're just looking for fairness and some sense of justice in this situation.
Why do you think what Letterman said is worse than what Imus said?
Well, for two reasons. One, what Imus did, while stupid, was off the cuff and was not directed. I personally believe it was a really bad, stupid joke off the cuff. Letterman, over a long period of time, Megan, this is not just an isolated episode. This happened during the campaign and continues to today. Letterman clearly has some sort of weird agenda with Governor Palin and her family. I think he has a creepy sexual desire for Governor Palin.
Oh,
He's basically admitted that on the air. He said it on the air,
He doesn't like
Megan.
Sarah Palin, that's clear. I mean, I agree with you. If you watch his show, he's no fan of Sarah Palin's. But it shouldn't come as a big shock to our audience or anybody else that David Letterman leans left, and he tends to like Obama and the leftist candidates, and he tends to not like the folks on the right. But, but he's allowed to rip on her, right? She's the politician. She put herself out there. Is there really controversy over that?
Megan, nobody is tougher than Governor Palin. And as she said last week on my radio show and others places, look, this is not about her. It's really not even about her family, which has been tough enough through this fire that they've gone through to be able to endure these unprecedented attacks on their family. This is about an unprecedented, unfair, and inappropriate joke about having sex with a 14-year-old girl in the middle of Yankee Stadium with a steroid-using baseball star named Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just about basic fairness and justice. What he did was wrong. Governor Palin can take it. She's asked for an apology for all of women. I think she's right to do that.
John,
and we would like to see some sort of accountability.
Does it matter? You know, Letterman came out and he tried to say, I didn't mean to make the joke about the 14-year-old Willow. I really meant to make the joke about the 18-year-old Bristol, who was impregnated out of wedlock, right? So that's, in his mind, I guess, an excuse for the comment. Does it matter which daughter he meant to refer to?
Megan, I actually do believe that it does matter. However, I think he may have squandered what might have been the reality that he was mistaken. By the way, I think there is criminal negligence in making that joke when you didn't know which daughter was at the game. It was clearly Willow who was at the game he was joking about. So at a certain point, your ignorance is not necessarily an excuse. But his apology, Megan, was so self-serving, so absurd, to the point where he was basically joking that Todd should stay home when he invited invites Governor Palin on his show. Again, I believe, and I ask you to look at the tape that indicates that David Letterman has some sort of weird sexual fantasy about Governor Palin,
which is
John,
I can't let you get away with that. There's no evidence. There's evidence of bad taste, but I don't know about weird sexual fantasy. Although, in your defense, I am asleep when that show airs, so I have to say I haven't seen anything other than these clips.
Before I
let you go, what's going to happen at the Ed Sullivan Theater tomorrow?
Well, that'll be interesting to find out. We urge people to go to firedavidletterman.com. There is going to be a rally outside the Ed Sullivan Theater. We want to show up and express their opinion about what happened here. If I can get a radio studio to do my Los Angeles radio show in New York, I will be there speaking, as will other people, and they can find out more at firedavidletterman.com. All
right, well, thanks for jamming up the streets even further here in New York. On behalf of Mr. Hemmer and myself, we appreciate that, John. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Megan.